What's up, Spilled Milkers? Andrew Zimmern here. First things first, go to my YouTube channel, subscribe. All kinds of amazing videos will come your way, including our new series that we have created with our partners at Culinary, the makers of the best knives in the world. I love them, I use them. They've been my sponsor for 5 years, 6 years, but I've been using their knives for about 15. I absolutely love them. We get to do these cool videos every year about how to use their knives, but it really is just how to use knives in general. We do it through great storytelling, through a recipe. And they really are wonderful videos. They've won a lot of awards over the years. You want to see them, really cool stuff. This year we just are dropping as you're watching this, we are dropping a new one. So you want to make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. You'll also see my new mini series. They're little 1-minute shorts that I made for the World Food Program when I was down in Chicago during the spring. So please check that out. Really, really good stuff. I think that's all the business end of the stick. Anyway, great to be here on Ask Me Anything. Thank you for some great questions. Clearly, all the people who are traveling are away because nobody's asking questions. This happens every summer as we near the end of July, beginning of August. Nobody wants to know what to do. But then in August, everyone wants to know where to go in the fall and what to do at Christmas time. So be sure to let me know travel recommendations, things that you should be doing. Everyone always asks about restaurants, where they should eat, but what about where to go bungee jumping in Switzerland or something like that? I have no clue. News and notes from all over. My editor flagged this one, which was great. A really cool CNN.com/travel article about restaurants in Japan that are considering charging locals less in order to combat over-tourism. In other words, bringing Japanese customers back to Japanese restaurants. I think this is going to happen all over the world, but they're going to call it something else. And essentially, you're going to pay more for dinner Saturday night at 7:30 in a restaurant than you will Tuesday night at 5 o'clock or 9 o'clock. As you should, by the way. I think like theater tickets, like airline tickets, like hotel prices, if you want a better time, I think that it's okay for restaurateurs who are struggling to make money to charge more for the more premium times. I think it also helps in places that are people are going to eat to help incent locals to eat in restaurants so that those restaurants are busy, not just in high season, right? All right, Mary Jo writes, on to your questions. Enjoyed the shrimp cleaning, thank you. When we cleaned shrimp at the restaurant, there was another vein on the underside of the shrimp. It did not appear appetizing. It's completely benign. So we removed it as well. Might you know the function of that vein? My understanding, I asked someone a long time ago, was there was actually a ligament. Obviously it doesn't take a lot for the shrimp, but if you imagine they actually have to move certain ways. Someone else told me it was the reproductive organs. Either way. Ava writes, in your video on Chinese stuffed cabbage, you mentioned liking a 2-to-1 ginger garlic ratio in recipes. Why does that ratio work? Well, if you are someone like me who's more fond of ginger than garlic, it works beautifully. Oftentimes, especially in a lot of restaurants from Desai countries, India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, you see ginger garlic paste. And most cooks in that part of the world will puree 2 cups of each and keep it in the fridge because so many recipes call for this combination in equal parts. In many Asian countries, you'll see on the line chopped ginger, chopped garlic, and they, whether it's a wok or a saute pan or a poached or braised dish, equal amounts will often go in. A lot of American recipes for Asian dishes do the same sort of thing, especially with different types of Chinese food. I've always been a bigger fan of 2-to-1 ginger to garlic, especially with something that doesn't cook that long, like dumplings. They cook for like 6-7 minutes tops, right? Doesn't make sense to me. I don't want a lot of that raw garlic flavor. So I like 2-to-1. Rohan writes, do you think restaurant critics should have experience working in restaurants? No. You don't have to have played football to be a good football announcer. If you're good, you're good. I just happen to think that restaurant criticism, and that is writing about restaurants themselves, whether the food is good or not, has gotten so diluted with the democratization of writing in general. People can write their own websites, come up with YouTube channels. There's a fellow who's very popular on TikTok who's racking up millions and millions of views in his reviews of restaurants. But some of his comments are careless, and I think they sometimes do more damage than they do good. They're very entertaining, but I worry. And, I take those sorts of things really seriously. I know that these, people are saving up their lifetime to launch the restaurant of their dreams, and a review has a lot of power. And I've also noticed here in the Twin Cities, we have some very good restaurant critics, and we have some really fucking awful ones that don't know what they're talking about and don't understand food, haven't tasted enough food comparatively around the world to sort of understand either what a chef is trying to do or why something that they're doing isn't right. Now, is there right or wrong in cooking, you ask? Well, sometimes there is. You want to make a chicken cooked with red wine and mirepoix and call it whatever you want, that's great. But if you call it coq au vin, right, then to a certain degree, it hews to that French classic. Now, maybe you're making fun of it and doing something much different, and it's a salad and it's a red wine vinaigrette and chicken, and you're being punny with a P. That's great. It's obvious you're doing that, right? But I think names matter, words matter, and I think there's a lot of bad restaurant criticism out there. Michael writes, what's your favorite barbecue region? Oh my God. East and West North Carolina are completely different than Tennessee whole hog, than, Kansas City ribs, than Texas brisket and sausage. I don't know. That's such a hard one. I will say this. There's so much expertise now. People are now willing to pay good money, the right money, for really good barbecue. It's meat, takes a long time to cook. There's a lot of expense goes into getting it right, and we should be paying what it costs to put food on a plate. For some reason, we do it with barbecue more willingly, which I like. I'm all for it. What I found is the people who are really good don't just stick to one thing. They're like, oh yeah, let me try this, let me try that. Everyone raves about Aaron Franklin's brisket. I think it's incredible. The brisket king, right? Are there a couple others I love around the country? Sure. But Aaron, he's my friend, love it. His brisket, primo. However, don't sleep on his sausage. Don't sleep on his turkey. I never order the turkey when I go to a barbecue place, except in a handful of joints. Pat Martin, whole hog, king of Nashville and environs. His bologna sandwich, there are certain things that people do that's not just their area of expertise that I just think is absolutely fantastic. So the answer is, I don't have a favorite barbecue region, but if you held a gun to my head, I'll go Tennessee. See, here's the thing. I love hog barbecue of all types, whether it's whole hog, whether it's shoulders, whether it's ribs. But I'm not sure I can do without the Eastern European influence that made its way all the way to Texas and created that incredible sausage and beef brisket vibe there that I'm not gonna do it. I love them all. Marina writes, SOS. I can't stop buying tomatoes at the market. Good, you shouldn't. What should I do with them? Oven dry them. I've already hit my limit on tomato sandwiches this summer. Yeah, take a tomato. This is a tangerine, but small ones cut in half or quarters. Toss them in just a little bit of olive oil, salt, and pepper. Skin side down. Piece of baking paper. 225 degree oven. 8, 10, 12 hours. When they should be leathery, but just a little bit of liquid maybe in the middle that dries out while they're cooling. And then you can either puree that and make your own tomato paste, or just stack them in Ziploc bags by volume or weight and freeze them. And then you can pull out your own, the caramelization and the reduction of the juices just intensifies the flavor, and it just shrinks all that volume. I also make a lot of sauce and put that up in jars. I freeze a lot of it, so lots of stuff to do. But yeah, boy, do I love good tomatoes. Arena writes, what's a good gift for someone who is passionate about food and cooking? How about a subscription to Spilled Milk? I was just right out there. It was like such a softball. If someone is passionate about food and cooking, I hate to be a goofball about it, and this is not I know it's going to come off like I'm a shill, but I think a great knife is fantastic. Shun makes a dual core, stainless steel on the outside, carbon steel on the inside. I love them. They are not cheap, right? However, if you watch the knife series that I made with my partners at Shun, and you subscribe to my YouTube channel, you will see a discount that pops up for Shun knives. So what better time to buy one for somebody? I think first and foremost, that's get them a great knife if they don't have one. And I think the other thing that you can do is, get them there's culinary instruction available all over the country and overseas. Get them some culinary instruction. Get someone to take their game from here to here. There's some one-day bread baking seminars that you could take with local bakers in every city in America that will change someone's life forever. Jared writes, a friend of mine is going through a hard time. Sorry to hear that. I'm going through a hard time right now. I'm experiencing a lot of loss. A lot of people are dying or getting sick, really sick in my life. It's tough to navigate. And sometimes you just got to sit with those feelings, and it sucks. But Jared writes, friend of mine is going through a hard time, and I want to bring them dinner to remind them they aren't alone. That is really nice. What's a comforting dish that travels well and can be eaten as leftovers for days? Oh my God. Lasagna, large format chicken pot pie or chicken casseroles. Those sort of come to mind right away. I know it's really particular, but my son asked me to make it. Last night 2 nights ago, we were having dinner. He and I made him something delish. And we're sitting there, just the two of us, and he says, can you make the pork roll with sauerkraut? And I used to make it for him when he was younger, and I'm gonna make it this week. You can go on my website, it's there. But essentially you take pork and you season it with onions and sage and lots of other things. And you put it down on a piece of plastic wrap, so it's like 14, 15 inches long and like 12 inches top to bottom, and about three-quarters of an inch thick. And then I lay pickled cabbage leaves down. There's whole head sauerkraut sold in a lot of markets. They sell it here in Minnesota. And so I drain the leaves, squeeze them dry, and put some of those down. Then I put sauerkraut squeezed out. You don't want a lot of liquid in the middle, so I squeeze out good barrel fermented refrigerated kraut, not the canned kind. Put that in the middle, and then roll the whole thing up so you have this like tube of pork, and the center of it is all of that sauerkraut and cabbage. And then you wrap the whole thing in strips of bacon, the entire thing, overlapping. and then you bake it for 70, 80 minutes in the oven at 325, 350. The bacon caramelizes and gets crisp. You cut through it. The pork is delicious and juicy. The cabbage, sauerkraut is fantastic, and serve it with some sturdy mustard. But you can bring one of those to someone. They just have to like that kind of thing. Stuffed cabbage is great. Not my Chinese one the other night, but traditional Eastern European, Polish stuffed cabbage. Stews are great. Soups are fantastic to bring to someone. So I think those are great. Lots of great ideas at andrewzimmern.com. Subscribe to Spilled Milk. Subscribe to YouTube. Check out the Shun series. And I hope everybody has a great week.